In this class, we are going to learn how to create versions for a particular integration. Suppose there is a scenario wherein you are working on enhancement of this first integration. I am assuming this case. Every time you modify the integration in production, it is always a good practice to increment the version, so that every time there is any issue in the case of deployment in the production, you can always roll back the changes if you version the integration. Suppose if you override the integrations every time, you might lose the backup itself. In such cases, we can go for the versioning. In order to create the version, what we have to do is, we have to hover over the status over here and click on the options. Now here if you see, there is an option to create a new version. Click on this. When you create a new version, you cannot modify the name and the identifier because you are creating the version for the particular integration, so that it will be based on the same copy of the integration. But documentation URL you can change, package you can change, description you can change, and even the keyword. Suppose if you are having a new documentation for the new version, that you can provide over here. If you closely observe the version over here, there are two dots, so that we get the major version over here, major version that is before the first dot, minor version that is in between the dots, and after the second dot can have the patching versions. Suppose if you are working on smaller bug fixes like doing the mapping change or doing some transformation changes here and there, configuration small changes, then you can increment the version numbers over here like 1, 2, 3 or 21 like this based on your project's guidelines. Now if you are working on a minor changes but you are having a backward compatibility as well. Suppose if your integration you are enhancing is app-driven integration which is consumed by various applications outside the integration environment as well, then what you can do is you can increment the minor version. They are backward compatible, so that the source applications whichever is making use of these integrations or the consumers of these integrations don't have to change anything at their end. So this increment you can do in the minor versioning. Suppose if you are working on a major change wherein you are changing the input structure or the message structure of the app-driven integration or the output structure, there are major changes so that it is not backward compatible, or even if it is a backward compatible but there is a significant change. Like suppose if your integration you have built in order to store the file. Suppose you are taking that file from the request and uploading in a OneDrive folder. If your customer cancels the subscription for the OneDrive and they want to store in some other online platform, then you might change the integration so that you can change the repository from OneDrive to other drives. So at that time it is considered as a major change, but your structure will remain same. That is the message and input and the output. Again in that case also we might consider upgrading this version like 1, 2, 3 like that. Now in this case, I'm making a minor change as well as some mapping changes. So I'm giving 1.1.1 and click on create version. So if you see, it is reflecting over here under the versions. So our new version is 1.1.1. When you activate any upper version, what it will do is it will automatically deactivate your previous lower version. Here if you see, activating integration 1.1.1 requires deactivating this integration. If you click on activate, what it will do is it will deactivate your previous lower version integration and it will activate this one. Let me just refresh. Here if you see, our 1.0.0 integration is now in configured state, but 1.1.1 is in active state. So like this we can create the versions for the integrations, be it for major change, minor change, and even for bug fixes.